And this is the standalone sequel to the game Sleeping Gods, which has been distributed to backers already, and this has been getting some incredible reviews, and for good reason. This game looks incredible. There are a lot of great design choices in it. Any artwork from Ryan Lockett is always going to look incredible, and they really seem to have knocked it out of the park here, so it's no surprise that this one is also our Discord pick of the week. And as I said, Distant Skies will be a standalone experience, so you don't have to play Sleeping Gods, the original game, in order to jump into this version or to understand the story or anything that's going on. But it does follow a very similar theme where gods have pulled you into another world and they're seeking your help. And your whole goal here is just to get back home, but in order to do that, you're going to have to help some ancient gods by freeing them by finding certain totems throughout the campaign. And once you have found all of those and freed the gods, then they will grant you passage back to your home world. Of course, there is a lot more to this and a lot of ups and downs and different stories intertwined, and this is a storyline and narrative that a lot of people are praising. So I think you'll be really happy with the surprises and the humor that the campaign provides. But of course, in order to enjoy that, you'll also have to enjoy the game itself. And these two games do play very similar to each other. There are a few small tweaks to the newer version, but I'll go into a little bit of detail of how the original game plays and then let you know what the differences are. And the way that this game works is that players will be exploring the campaign through a campaign booklet. So this is really nice because you don't have a board that you're going to have to set up or different cards that you're going to have to manage. You just have to flip to certain pages, and as you move to the edge of a page, it'll give you another page number to turn to in order to continue to explore the map that this game provides. On each of the pages, there's different locations that you can visit, and that's where the campaign booklet comes into play, where you're going to turn to that page and then read the bit of narrative that it has to provide, as well as the different events or options or opportunities that exist at that specific location. And visiting the locations at different times or in different orders will drastically change the opportunities that are available to you. And of course, to get to these different locations, you're going to need a ship, and players are all playing as captains. You're going to be alternating taking control of the ship, performing different actions with your own crew, and then supporting the other players with your crew when it's their turn to captain the ship. And on your turn, when you're playing as the captain, there's 4 steps that you're going to be taking, and the first step is the ship step. During the step, you're going to be moving the Captain Meeple to different locations on the shipboard in order to perform the different actions there, and the different locations can do things like grant you with new abilities or grant your crew with new abilities, return spent command tokens back to the pool so that they can be spent again later, heal the crew, or perform a search action. And the search action is a little bit of a special one because it incorporates a push your luck aspect into the game, where the active player will draw as many cards as they want from a deck of Explore cards, and then resolving them, gaining whatever resources those cards have to offer, but then also taking any damage or hits to the crew's morale that are depicted on those cards. And it's these red cubes here that are used to represent damage to your ship, and as the different areas take damage, they're going to be blocking off action spaces, and when a location is fully congested with damage cubes, you're no longer able to take that action. And of course, if the entire ship gets full of action cubes, well, that's bad news bears. Which means you lose the game. Then the second step is the event step, where the active player will draw an event card. And an event card can have different costs or benefits to the players. Sometimes they'll offer a choice, or sometimes they will require a skill check. And players will be able to increase the odds of passing the skill test if they are sending the right crew. But of course, you can always expect there to be some sort of repercussions for each of your crew members if they happen to fail. And then the step is followed by the action step, where the player can choose 2 actions out of a possible of 4 options. And the different options are to travel to a new location depending on the distance that they can move, explore a location that they are currently visiting by grabbing the campaign booklet and turning to that page, buying cards from the market to upgrade their crew and help with future actions, or if they are at a port, they can also use the port action to repair their ship, heal the crew, or spend XP to level up their different characters. And any upgrades earned by spending XP are actually permanent upgrades that you'll be able to keep for the entire game. And the final step is a pretty easy one because there's just some minor cleanup, and then you're passing the captain seat to the next player. And as the players are taking their turns, trying to not completely destroy their ship or their crew, they're going to run into different opportunities to go on quests and adventures. And this is where players will really be moving forward in their objective to try and gather these totems in order to free these gods, in order for them to get back home. But of course, this won't be easy, and some of these quests might send the players into some unknown locations. and more than likely encountering some different monsters that aren't so happy to see you. And the combat in this game is really interesting because you could be fighting many monsters at once, and you put all the monsters in a row in a sort of tableau, and players will be using command tokens and sending out their crew members to attack these baddies, and using their special items, while also drawing a random card for accuracy, which will add to the character's base stats. And depending on how well you do, you'll be able to add tokens to the grid of the different monsters, placing a token adjacent to one that was already placed there. And the main goal for the players in order to defeat these monsters is to cover any of the squares that have a heart on them, and then that monster will be defeated. Of course, there are some other nuances and opportunities here as well that players will have to weigh into their decision. But this is an entire campaign that players will be playing over several games, but this game does have a really great save mechanism that allows you to just put everything back into the box and take it out really quickly. And you can also add and remove players at any time, so that if you have a different number of players the next time you play, that can also be accommodated. The original game will also be available in this new campaign, but Distant Skies is going to be playing very similar to how I just described. The rules have been tweaked a little bit to streamline the game a little bit more, although I don't think there's anything wrong with the original game. And combat will work a little bit different now, where players will be building a deck throughout the game that they'll be able to draw a hand of cards from. The game offers brand new characters and a brand new storyline, and that's one of the reasons that you don't need to have played the original game to enjoy this one. There's a brand new hunting and crafting system that has been added to the game, and the shipboard has been completely replaced with an action point system, which is where I think a lot of the streamlining comes into play. So if you really like that style of play, you might want to get the original game, but if you want something a little bit more simple but also a little bit more snappy, I think this newer version is definitely one that you'll be wanting to take a look at. And I personally think you can't go wrong grabbing either of these games. The whole experience looks like a really solid one. It looks like a lot of heart and soul went into this game. The design looks rock solid, and people are already playing the original version of this game and saying really positive things about it. So I think you can have a lot of confidence back in this one if this is one that you're interested in. On top of everything I just said, I also think this is a game that I would personally love and I would love to add to my collection. I'm not quite sure I will, just because I already do have 7th Continent in my collection already, and I do have 7th Citadel coming very soon as well. But if you're trying to choose between those two games, I think these both have very compelling aspects to each of them. If you're looking for something a little bit more open-ended and that involves a little bit more push your luck, I think 7th Continent is a great choice. But then offering an incredibly flexible way that the map is discovered and taking full advantage of that, because in 7th Continent you can explore different tiles, and then if you come back to them, those tiles can be completely different, or if you perform different actions there, that can also swap tiles out for other tiles as you explore deeper within each section of the map. But if you aren't so interested in sifting through a ton of different cards, and you want something with a little bit more direction and a little bit more focused on action selection, I think you'll probably enjoy this one a little bit more. Both of the games offer some really great artwork, but with a very different style. I think more people will prefer this one because, for one, Ryan Lockett just does an incredible job, but all the imagery here is just a little bit more vibrant, and he just really knows how to bring the beauty out in any scene that he draws. And of course, if you want to know more or get notified as soon as the campaign launches, I have links to all these campaigns in the description below.